And then sometimes you figure out that your whole life has been a lie. And that's when personal development gets absolutely insane. It becomes addicting. All right, guys, welcome to Mindset TV. Today, I want to talk about personal development because it is something that everybody goes through. Either you've gone through it in the past, you're going through right now, or you will in the future. Trust me, if you're not there yet, at some point you will. I claim that most men go through a personal development and self-improvement process after they've established or experienced, I should say, some sort of trauma, like a divorce. So in today's video, I want to break down what personal development actually is and how you can implement it in your life. All right, so let's start with the actual definition here on Google. Personal development is the intentional process of investing in yourself to grow your skills, knowledge, and potential to live a more fulfilling life. And that is personal development in a nutshell. But let's dive a little bit deeper. I think that personal development happens when a man comes to a realization. Some sort of trauma occurs in his life where he needs to realize or comes to a realization that he has a deficiency. It could be something small at first, like maybe he's overweight. So when he comes to that realization and no longer accepts that overweight or that being out of shape as a norm, he now has a decision to make. Either A, do the same thing that he's been doing for years and stay the same way, or he self-improves and goes on this personal development journey to figure out how to lose the weight. And that's just the beginning. That's just one aspect, okay? But then what happens is most of the time, it's a snowball effect. You realize you have one deficiency and then another. And then sometimes you figure out that your whole life has been a lie. And that's when personal development gets absolutely insane. It becomes addicting because you realize that your finances, right, your job, your family life, your physique, your mindset, everything that you've learned so far in life was a lie. And that to me is real personal development. It's when you realize the truths about life and you address them accordingly. And you learn the realities of life. You realize that you're not where you want to be. And you're forced to make that decision. Are you going to be a lazy POS? Or are you going to put in the effort to improve? If I go back to the beginning of my journey, I remember specifically when it comes to my finances, I realized after decades of being in the workforce that I had not even invested in my retirement. And I know that a lot of you guys have the same issue. You just haven't really learned. No one told you to invest early in your life. And that's a huge mistake. That's one thing I definitely regret. I'm not blaming anybody. That was all on me. You know, some people say, I wish my parents would have told me. They would have maybe guided me to invest in the stock market back in the, 80s, 90s, or 2000s. But the reality is that it's on you. I mean, as soon as you turn 18, the accountability needs to fall on you. You could have gone to the bank, gone online, and figured it all out, but you didn't. And the reality is that now you're suffering for that. So personal development for me started back then. That was my financial realization. So I did take the action. I started a Roth IRA, and those grew over time, of course. So that was when it comes to finance. When it comes to like career growth, I also remember that moment when I realized that the corporate job that I was at was just not for me. I was unhappy. I was commuting an hour each way, 5 days a week, and I was working, 50 to 60 hours a week, and I just wasn't happy. So that's another moment in time where I had a realization and I took action. It took me a couple years to save up enough money in order to leave my job eventually and start my own business. So take the time and analyze what's happening in your life right now, and you'll see that you are here watching this video because you came to a realization that maybe it is time for you to get on a personal development journey and elevate yourself to the next level. We're all getting older. If you're in your 30s, you don't want to get to your 40s in the same state that you're in now. If you're in your 40s, you don't want to get to 50 out of shape, broke, single, alone, unhappy. So if you're watching this video right now, you probably came to a realization that maybe it is time for you to get started in your personal development journey. All right. So the next logical question is, how do you get started on a personal development journey? So watch this video next where I break down my 4-step process to starting your personal development journey. Peace.